Every single time I talk about decentering men while in a relationship, I get some version of this comment, and we desperately need to talk about it because I really want to show y'all practically why this kind of thinking is not helpful. I'm just using this comment from today as an example, but it literally always goes some version of this. I disagree that women in relationships are not male-centered. It is in women's nature to put others over herself, and when she enters in a relationship with a male, it is inevitable that she will do more, care more, and center him more than herself and others. I can only speak anecdotally, but I personally have never met a heterosexual woman who is in a relationship and not male-centered. Even if they were not male-centered before getting into a relationship, they become male-centered. So today I want to talk to you about three things: bioessentialism, abuse, and how to actually decenter men. While it's extremely valid to find this to be practically true most of the time, a lot more beneficial for us to reframe our thinking and our ideology around this. We'll always take issue with stuff like it is in women's nature to put others over herself. This may be anecdotal, but it definitely disproves this theory. I can tell you for a fact that it's not true based on my own experience. I was raised as an only child, and it was to the point that literally every single friend I had would make comments like on a near constant basis about how they could tell I was an only child. I wasn't like obnoxious or anything like that, but my natural inclination has always been to center myself in life. And that's because I wasn't taught to sacrifice as a child, the way that most men are. It's always been very natural for me to center myself. I always got the best of everything. I got the most of everything. Like, my parents would never eat my food or touch my snacks or punish me taking any of those things away. I left my house at the age of 20, literally not knowing how to do a single chore other than maybe to wash dishes. I hate to tell you this, but no, you are not naturally self-sacrificial. You were just forced into that. You were nurtured into that, right? You were not natured into that. It's very easy for me to be selfish. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. It's been kind of a lifelong process. Just figure out how to move about in a world that genuinely never expects a woman to put herself first. Like, I've always had to deal with this. Like, people always make comments about my strong boundaries, my tendency to put myself first, my tendency to take care of myself, be very nice to myself, spoil myself, etc. Somebody always makes some type of comment about, always like, people are always snarky about it because they're low-key jealous. Not only that, but I'm also telling you this as somebody who grew up with a man in my house who did more, cared more, and centered everybody else more than himself. By everybody else, I mean me and my mom. But I can literally tell you that my dad did more homework than me, did more emotional labor with me, probably spent more time with me than my mom did. And he didn't even have to be the biological, donor to do all that. Like, that's just a man who rejects patriarchal standards and does not think that his biggest goal and station in life is to be served. For those of y'all that just assume that men are born with some kind of patriarchal chromosome, they're not. It's just easier for them to live that way, and most of them don't want to deconstruct it because they can feel the privilege leaving their body whenever they do. And so I actually responded to this comment. This is what I said. You can pause to read. And then in response, they said, it doesn't have to be this way, but men manipulate women into doing this because it benefits them. I gradually became male-centered in my abusive relationship because it's by design. The cognitive dissonance of loving someone who hurts me for his own benefit and of thinking he must be a good person because I love him when he's clearly not. This is naturally where we have to talk about abuse. When you become male-centered in an abusive relationship, it's not male-centeredness, that's abuse. Simply the definition of abuse. That is what an abuser is going to do to you. They're going to center themselves in your life because that's abusive. Why do so many men do this so naturally? Because the patriarchy is abusive. The patriarchy gives men stuff and benefits and a leg up and everything like that at the expense of women. That's abusive. So when you become male-centered in an abusive relationship, it's just abuse, okay? That is an unhealthy relationship. That is actually abusive. And I can tell you this because I was abused, but by a woman. And it had the same exact effect on me. That single person became the focus and the center of my life as I knew it because she was abusive. Because I had to worry about outcomes and the consequences of what would happen when she wasn't centered in my life. I would be rewarded negatively for not centering this woman in my life. The result was that I centered her. The result was that the abuse worked. I say this very gently and with a lot of love, but if you were being abused in a relationship, that is not you being male-centered. And a lot of women feel a lot of shame and embarrassment, so male-centered that they just couldn't leave and I was so stupid, etc. No, you were abused. An abuser will naturally try and make themselves the center of your life, because that is how they get their supply. That is how they get their rocks off. That is how they get validation in life, being the center of somebody else's. So please connect those dots and just know that we have actually normalized men just abusing women in relationships. We have normalized that, and a lot of them just act that out. And it's because of that that they have no empathy, that they want to be centered not only in their own life, but also in yours. So now with those two things in mind, let me give you what I believe is the key to actually decentering men. People think of decentering men as an action, but decentering men is an outcome. It is just what happens when women center themselves. We're already doing it. The whole world is in shambles because the birth rates are dropping, because men have no purpose. Literally, all of that is due to women putting themselves first. In and out of relationships, it doesn't even matter. Even women who are in happy, healthy relationships are not having children. And they're no longer acting like their sole purpose in life is to be a man's helpmeet. A lot more women, married or not, have college degrees, careers, own property. The result of that is that men feel decentered. Really, that's why I really don't want us falling into this line of like bioessentialist thinking that women are so giving and self-sacrificial by nature. Like, trust me, we can change that. Like, women are being more selfish and more self-centered, which is good. Men were taught to take and consume for their own betterment at other people's expense. And now that they can't do that, they're in shambles. All that to say, that's actually very encouraging to us. And that means that it has nothing to do with our chromosomes or with our biological makeup or with our hormones or anything like that. It just means that it's possible. It really means to me is that women once again have to take the lead on something and like make sure it happens, because it's in our own best interest. I'm just here to tell you it's possible. It's possible to be so radically selfish that the world doesn't know what to do with you. And the reason that they're like really freaking out is because they'd have to like change the world in order to accommodate this, what women are doing. The last thing we want to do is like go back to this bioessentialist thinking and say that this is the only way you can coexist alongside with men. Like, we can and have been threatening these unjust hierarchical structures just by existing. Literally think about it. This is why they always have to take women's rights away, because without that, we would be selfish. Without that, we would just live for ourselves. And so I have really great news for you. Like, that's in your nature. That's what's natural to a woman. To be selfish, to live for herself, to want the best for herself. And you really don't have to believe this bioessentialist outdated crap. And this would actually really prevent you from situations where you are not benefited or even like cooperated with. You would never be tempted to tell yourself something like, oh, he's a good person because I love him. I should do this, but men don't have to. I'll just deal with it because he's just a man. Just how he was created. This is just in his nature. You wouldn't be tempted to tell yourself those things. Thinking like that will at least keep you out of situations where nothing is serving you, nothing in it for you. At least you won't be telling yourself that, oh, this is just how all men act. I love him, whatever that means. That means I have to sacrifice for him, but he doesn't have to sacrifice for me because he's the prize. Like, you'll just automatically be like, this is not serving me. What am I doing here? Because you will know what it is like to center yourself, to be the center of your own life. That does not mean you're selfish or mean or withholding from other people. It just means that you match energy. It just means that you look out for yourself before you ever let anybody just have like more say in your life than you yourself have, like that just won't feel natural to you. Like that will feel weird and fucked up to you. I really hope this helps because I'm so tired of seeing this sentiment over and over and over again. I have to call it out for what it is, which is it's a little bit of projection. I'm holding your hand, I'm saying this nicely, but it is projection. You're doing great at like assessing your own situation, but you do have to realize it's bioessentialist, it's normalizing abuse, it's not actually decentering men to speak like this. Again, it's like bioessentialism in a different way where it's like, no, men can't. It's like, yes, they can. And if I have anything to say about it, they fucking will, because I do not want to continue sharing a planet with a bunch of troglodytes who are also being told that them being selfish, narcissistic, and abusive is fucking normal. They need to learn how to cooperate so that we can all share the fucking planet, okay? So let's stop putting this kind of rhetoric out there. I'm literally begging y'all at this point. I love you so much. Godspeed. Mwah.